California. Mr. Liccardo is recognized.
Thank you. Move to strike the last
The
word.
gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you putting up with the deluge of comments from folks from my state. I wanted to ask if the chair or perhaps Mr. Stahl might be willing to engage in dialogue over a couple of questions.
Of course, we'd be happy, either one of us would be happy to be yielded to by you for an answer to a question.
Wonderful. I know that Mr. Hines and others have raised concerns about Section 202. And as you know, it allows for sales, at least of the current text, up to $75 million in a 12-month period under the exemption, and further limits the purchaser owning no more than 10% outstanding units. My understanding, at least in discussion, public discussion, was that the intention was that this would not vary from the essential requirements of Reg A. There's going to be no significant alteration of the fundamental financial structures by which we expect issuances and capital raising to occur. But my understanding is also that Reg A requires audited financial statements, requires the SEC to qualify the offering before the first sale, and other requirements that are not in this. Is there a reason why we would not incorporate Reg A requirements as part of this provision 202?
Does the gentleman from Wisconsin want to respond first, or?
Sure, maybe I can start on that, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate my colleague's question. I appreciate his input on the drafting and creation of this bill. You've been a good partner in providing good feedback. I think as we look at Reg A and the securities filings, what we see is really more of an inspiration for what we are drafting, but recognizing that digital assets are truly novel instruments. And so although there are certain parallels in the construction of the Clarity Act to current existing securities laws, what we're looking for is providing additional clarity for the digital asset space. So the parallel is not exactly the same. We do have a cap on offering issuance and also restrictions on insider sales. So you do see some of those parallels. Maturity is a key concept here. And we have to account for that in our framework, which we do in both eligibility for the exempt offering as well as insider sales restrictions. So in a sense, the eligibility is narrower maybe because these projects intend to be mature or are mature. But you're right, it's not a direct parallel off of Reg A, but I think in many ways in the construction of the legislation, the Clarity Act, we were looking for inspiration off of current securities laws, but recognizing that digital assets truly are novel and needed a new, unique, and specific approach in the digital asset space.
Thank you, Mr. Stahl. One other question. I know that we've had some conversations about DeFi specifically, and my concerns about what we know is the largest share of the emerging market in terms of transactions is really increasingly going to be around DeFi. And I'm concerned about the extent to which and whether the bill really mitigates the risk that by excluding entities that label themselves as DeFi, but are still performing core financial functions, lending, exchange, intermediation, that we're excluding them from regulatory oversight, even though it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, but we're calling it DeFi.
Will the gentleman yield?
Sure.
Appreciate the comment here, and it's something that we took and thought about in the drafting of this text. In the structure of the legislation, it's really not about labels, but rather about the activities of the technology. So if it is non-custodial and not subject to discretionary control, it is DeFi. But if it were custodial and discretionary, then it is. And so we're not looking at autonomy as our North Star. We're really looking at what the underlying function is rather than the label that it gives. And maybe this goes a little bit back to the comment Mr. Foster had when we were talking about the structure of the bill in the Reg A context, or in the self-certification context, that it is the nature of the activity rather than the self-defined terminology.
All right.